lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, the pride of life, lust of the
For although
eyes,
they knew God, they neither glorified him as God, nor gave thanks to him. But their thinking became futile,
lust of the eyes,
and their foolish hearts were
lust
darkened.
of the flesh,
Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal man, and birds and animals. Therefore God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts
lust of the
to
flesh,
sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie,
lust of the
and
flesh,
worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever
lust
praised.
of the eyes,
Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another.
lust of the flesh,
Furthermore, since they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God,
lust
He
of
gave
the
them
eyes,
over to a depraved mind to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness,
lust of the
evil,
eyes,
greed, and
lust of the
depravity.
flesh,
They are full of envy,
pride of life,
murder, and strife,
lust of the
deceit,
eyes,
and malice.
lust of
They
the
are
flesh,
gossips, slanderers,
pride of
God-haters, insolent and
lust of the
arrogant and
eyes,
boastful. They
lust of
invent
the
ways
flesh,
of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless. They are
lust of
faithless.
the eyes,
They are heartless. They are
lust
ruthless.
of the flesh,
Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve
lust
death,
of the eyes,
they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them.
lust of the
Here are 5 Bible facts about Judgment Day you must never forget. 1. Judgment is certain. Judgment is certain. Judgment is certain. Acts 17:30 says, God hath appointed a day in which he shall judge the world in righteousness. God hath appointed a day in which he shall judge the world in righteousness. Judge the world in righteousness. Judge the world in righteousness. This verse says that God has a calendar, and he has already appointed a specific time in which the judgment day will happen. And he has already appointed a specific time in which the judgment day will happen. You don't know that time, but God already has it on his calendar. The text that I have read, Hebrews 9:27, it is appointed unto man once to die, and then the judgment, then the judgment, then the judgment. The point is this: judgment is just as certain as death. Judgment is just as certain as death. No one has ever escaped death, and no one will ever escape judgment. In America's humanistic and pagan society, men laugh at the concept of the judgment of God. They have the pagan idea of Pharaoh. Who is the Lord that I should obey him? Look at man's attitude concerning the judgment of God throughout history. When Noah warned his generation of God's judgment that was coming upon the earth by flood, they laughed. That generation had never even seen rain, let alone a flood. They thought Noah was an absolute right-wing fundamentalist, crazy. But God had an appointed day, the Bible says, in which the fountains of the deep were opened up, and the heavens rained a torrential rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Men who laughed yesterday now ran in terror, screaming toward the ark, saying, let us in, let us in, let us in. They scratched and clawed the sides of the ark for another chance, but there was none. They ran to the highest mountains as the weaker ones began to drown immediately. The water swept them up, and the strongest among them swam in that sea until exhaustion dragged them down to a watery grave. Every person on earth died by the appointment of God. What's the message of Noah's flood? The message of Noah's flood is this: God has the power to judge the earth. The message of Noah's flood is you will answer to God someday for every thought and for every word and for every deed. There is no escape from the judgment of God. And fourthly, as the ark was the only means of escape, so is Jesus Christ the ark of our salvation, the only means of escape on Judgment Day. The Bible says every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. It's not if you're going to bow. It's only when you're going to bow. You will either bow today or you will bow on Judgment Day. But I assure you, you will bow. You will bow. You will bow. In the days of Lot, the homosexuals of Sodom and Gomorrah laughed at Lot when he told them of the coming judgment of God. The idea of an all-powerful judge judging their sick, sinful lives was nothing but radical, right-wing, fundamentalist, homophobic scare tactics and absolute nonsense. Then the heavens began to glow with fire and brimstone, and the laughter stopped. They began to run in terror to hide from the face of God, and there was no place to hide. They died that day. Judgment Day came just like God said it would come. Judgment Day came just like God said it would come. In the days of Jeremiah, the people of Jerusalem laughed at his prediction that Nebuchadnezzar would demolish Jerusalem and destroy the temple as God's punishment for their sinful lives. Their laughter turned to tears and terror as Nebuchadnezzar invaded Jerusalem and slaughtered them and led them away in chains and demolished Jerusalem and destroyed the temple. Judgment Day came. Judgment Day came. Judgment Day came. Just like God said it would come through Jeremiah. God has given us an absolute proof that Judgment Day will come. That special guarantee is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. For the Bible says, God will judge the earth in righteousness, and he has given assurance unto all men, in that he hath raised Jesus from the dead. God is saying that as surely as the resurrection happened, which seems impossible to the carnal mind, which seems impossible to the carnal mind, there will be a judgment day. There will be a judgment day. There will be a judgment day. And immediately many people searching for some semblance of defense will say, I don't believe in the resurrection. Then let me call more than 500 witnesses, more than 500 witnesses, more than 500 witnesses to the stand this morning to prove the resurrection. There were first the four authors of the gospel who said he arose from the dead. He arose from the dead. He arose from the dead. Then Mary Magdalene saw him first on the resurrection morning as an eyewitness account. Then the women returning from the tomb saw him that same day. He appeared to Peter on the first resurrection morning. Then he appeared to the Emmaus disciples as they walked with him by the way. He appeared to the disciples when Thomas was present, and he appeared to the disciples when Thomas was absent. He then appeared to the 7 at the Sea of Galilee, where he fixed fish by the fire. To more than 500 believers he appeared on a Galilean mountain, as confirmed by St. Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 and 6. He then appeared to James. He then appeared to the 11 on the day of his ascension. He appeared to Stephen in Acts 7 and 55. Lastly, he appeared to John the Revelator in the book of Revelation, saying, Fear not, I am he that was dead. Fear not. I am he that was dead. Fear not. I am he that was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. I am alive forevermore. I am alive forevermore. More than 500 people in 13 different locations saw Jesus Christ after the resurrection. It is not a fundamentalist hoax. It is not an illusion. It is not mass hysteria. He lives with power and great glory. He has risen from the dead. He has risen from the dead. And he is saying there is a judgment day, and you will answer for every deed in your life. There is a judgment day, and you will answer for every deed in your life. Judgment day came just like God said it would come.
Judgment Day came just like God said it would come.